Everything started when my mom died. I was 14 at that time.
How did you process it at that age?
Since 14 years old, pretty much abroad all my life, that early, alone, far away, awakened something within me, that will of seeking further. I found a motorbike. I flew into Islamabad and I started the journey there. I traveled from Pakistan into China.
From Pakistan into China?
Yes. You need to go through the Karakoram Road, which is one of the most dangerous roads in the world. Rocks falling. Basically, the road is like on the edge of a cliff. Can happen anything. We actually don't know where we're from. We are told where we're from. When we are born, we are not conscious. We actually don't see where we are. Understand life. What is life about? You need to accept what's coming towards you, the good and the bad, and learn from both.
What is the high performance mindset?
High performance mindset.
Jacob Mato is a serial entrepreneur and a solo traveler that has been to over 20 countries on his bike. In this episode, he gets to tell us about the crazy experiences that came out of these adventures. He told us about the Vipassana course that he took in India and what was it like going through the silent meditation. And I also got to ask him what's his opinion on fear, and the answer might shock you. Alright, before we kick off with today's episode, if you can do me the small favor and subscribe to this channel, I'll truly appreciate it and it'll help me bring you more and more high performance to this show. This is the High Performance Mindset, and today's guest is Jacob Mato. Enjoy this episode.
يا مرحبا بجيكوب أو بيعقوب. شو أخبارك؟
الحمد لله.
تمام. من وين؟
أنا؟
إيه.
من إسبانيا.
إسبانيا ما شاء الله. وين في إسبانيا؟
من مدريد.
من مدريد. For my non-Arabic speaking guests, I was asking in Arabic. First I called you with your name, Jacob or Yaqub, as you like. And then I asked you where you're from, and obviously you answered Madrid.
And I was about to stop you. Because this is a very good question to start with. You know, maybe it might sound a little bit like weird to say this, but we actually don't know where we're from. You know, we are told where we're from, right? When we are born, we are not conscious. We actually don't see where we are, you know, right? So we are told that we are from somewhere. We have a paper that tells us we are from somewhere, but we actually weren't conscious enough to understand that we were born somewhere. I always have that question in my mind. And just to finalize this comment, just to tell you that I'm from somewhere, but I feel right now in front of you wearing this beautiful distasha that I'm from Oman, 100%.
All right, so let's dig deeper with how you see regarding where you're from. So you're saying yes. So let's say a person is born, they're not conscious where they are, which place, what environment. But by the time they get conscious, they figure out which country they're in at least.
Correct.
Right? And at that time you were in Madrid.
That is correct. Yes, that's a good point. It just came to my mind this topic because I was renewing my passport last week and I had a mistake in my passport, just a small mistake in the city. And the woman told me, but your passport is wrong. You don't know where you're from. I said, yes, I know. I guess I know where I'm from Spain. But he said, no, here it says you are from a different city to where you actually are from. I said, look, I have no idea. So that's why it came to my mind. I started wondering about where we're from and, you know, that we are not conscious when we are born.
Do you know where your parents were before?
Well, same thing, right? They are from Spain. That's what I think. That's what is on the paper. But I wasn't born to see them where they were from.
But
right?
do you know where they grew up?
In Spain, yeah.
Like in Madrid or
in Madrid,
different
yes,
city?
in Madrid, yeah.
Okay. You told me that your mom passed away when you were 14 years old. But I want to go back to your childhood. 7 to 10 years old, like how did your routine look like after school?
I'm going to try to answer to you in the most accurate way possible. But I'm this type of person that has, like pretty much everyone, I think, like a limited hard drive, right? And I'm constantly rewriting my hard drive. And why? Because I'm a very active person. Yes. I'm always doing things. I'm always experiencing. I'm always putting myself in different scenarios. And that's kind of limiting the capacity of my hard drive sometimes, and I keep forgetting stuff that I've done before. So to go back to your point, 7 years old, I don't exactly remember, but I can tell you for sure that I was a little bit always like very active. I used to be grounded at school because I was super proactive and I was always seeking to understand more and to do more. So probably I was doing something like childish and, maybe bothering someone in a good way to understand more about life.
But after school, what do you think? You used to play football, or what were your hobbies, or were you into studying?
For sure. Yeah, I've been always a very sporty person.
Okay.
So I used to play football, which is very common in Spain, as you know, very popular. About football, I was playing baseball, I was playing volleyball.
Interesting.
So many things.
So you guys have baseball as one of the options.
Actually,
is it at school, or you guys made up your own bets? And
actually, we used to play at school, but it is not very popular in Spain. But for some reason, in my school, baseball was kind of popular, and I liked it. I like to take the bat and hit the ball, and and run. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any particular passions? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think my number one passion from that day till today is just seeking understanding, like meeting people, discovering countries, understanding cultures, getting a deeper sense of what life is.
And how do you feel you were channeling that interest at that age?
I think everything started when my mom died. I think what was a life changer.
How did you process it at that age?
I was 14 at that time, and when you are 14, 15, you're kind of conscious, but you're still a kid, right? You don't digest.
Was she ill for a long time, or?
Yeah, she had a very long cancer treatment. She had over 4 years of chemio, so it was a very long, process to digest. Yeah.
And at that time, were you living with your parents, or is it just you and your mom?
With my parents, yeah. My dad was there as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sure it would have been very tough.
It is tough, but also it helps you to understand life, right? What is life about? You need to accept what's coming towards you, the good and the bad, and learn from both, right? We had to accept that my mom was dying. The last year she was doing pretty bad, She was not improving.
Was she giving you any particular advices or messages she wanted you to keep?
I do remember that. And that's one of the things that my hard drive is keeping in a very safe space. And she actually told me one sentence before she died that I got tattooed in my body. And I put it on a language that I'm trying to make sure no one can understand or translate, which is Indonesian Sanskrit. It's a very dead and non-spoken language. And even though my hard drive for this sentence is in a very safe place, this information, I wanted to keep it within me as well.
So can we know what the message was?
That's the key question that no one knows. My sisters, my family, friends, girlfriends, everyone has asked me. Everyone has tried actually to translate it, taking pictures and using these new apps that can, kind of translate most of the languages. And actually, I chose the right language not to be translated. So I always say that I will share this with my life partner, which at the moment I don't have it. So once I found my life partner, my other half, the person I consider part of myself deeply, I will share what that sentence means and what my mother told me before she died. So no, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, I figured that out. So what happened after your mom passed away?
So as I said, from at that age, you are conscious, but you're not very mature. At least myself. It took me longer to mature up. But this was one of the things that actually made me mature up. No, so my family decided to keep me sort of away of that situation, of that atmosphere, and they sent me to the U.S., to California, to study.
To San Francisco.
Near San Francisco, yes, yeah,
Okay.
pretty close to San Francisco. So I went to high school there. Yeah,
Okay. And
I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I was
Didn't want to
crying.
go.
No, I
Okay.
wanted to stay in Spain, in Madrid, in my city, with my family,
Your friends.
with my friends, comfort area, safe place. But my family decided that was good for me to actually be away from that situation, and also
Change your environment.
they believed that was going to help me to evolve, to mature up, and definitely it was the case.
You remember when you first got there? What was the experience like?
Well, imagine 14 years old, first time I was crossing the Atlantic Sea, like traveling really far away alone, So for me, it was a big thing, right? About a big experience. It was another life changer, right? Wow, I'm traveling, I'm crossing the Atlantic Sea. I'm traveling 12 hours on a plane. I'm going somewhere I've never been. I want to live with people that I've never been with. I don't know, I went to live with this beautiful American family. And it was a big thing for me. But I'm really grateful that my father decided to do that for me, because it really made me change so much.
You said you were feeling like sad to leave, and you're crying and all of that. But were you feeling in any way angry at your dad for doing that, or he was doing it, out of good, coming from a good place? Like,
I'm always arguing with my dad, It's not only in that situation. I'm always arguing. We have that kind of sweet and sour relationship, like sometimes we're good, sometimes we're bad. So, of course I argued. I didn't want to go, I was a kid. I was in the comfort zone. I was having fun. I was riding my bicycle, having my friends, discovering life in Spain, which is very open, very good weather, I didn't want to go. Of course I argued, but after the time, I understood the message that he was sending to me,
And what were the reasons? Remember, he was telling you why you should go there?
No, they actually didn't tell me the reason.
No.
They told me, you go in there. They told me, you go in. I gotta admit that I wasn't like the best student ever. As I told you, I was very proactive. So I was making little trouble here and there. So they also wanted me to mature up. To say, hey, you're out of the comfort zone. You're gonna find a way.
And when you got there, how did you find the environment? Did you start making friends? How was it in school?
Well, at the beginning, it was quite difficult, right? I didn't speak good English. So communication-wise was just a challenge, right? I was living with this American family. My English was quite basic. And so it was so challenging, right? Just to communicate, hey, I want to eat, or hey, can I go to the toilet? I really wanted to learn, and mature up. There was no other choice.
And in school, was it easy to make friends?
I've been always quite open, and friendly to everyone. Obviously, you're in a new country, new culture, new habits, new atmosphere, new everything. So at the beginning, it's not easy, right? And but I was in an international school, San Marino International School, typical American school with the American football field and the basketball court, and so on. So for me, it was like living an American movie, right? In the end, I made friends and everything was fine. Yes.
I mean, I've some of my guests shared with me, when they travel and they move, when they're let's say teenagers, and they travel and they go to another situation, sometimes if they don't immediately find make friends that they click with, then it can affect their personality and make them a little bit introverted. They're new, not comfortable with the language.
Yes.
Did you feel the same way, at least at the beginning?
Yes.
Oh, straight away you're just
No, I was a little bit introvert at the beginning. You're totally right. Yes, I was a little bit introvert because also I couldn't communicate properly, So I was a little bit shy of talking in English, right? Because I knew it wasn't good. So, I'm going to say this right or wrong and so on. So I was a little bit introvert at the beginning, but I had the positive part that there's a lot of Spanish speakers in California. It's close to Mexico, so
Yes.
I could communicate in Spanish with some of them, and
Okay.
immediately I got closer to the ones that I could
The
communicate.
Hispanic community.
Yes, with the Mexican community. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then you mentioned to me when you were 17, you guys established an online magazine,
Correct.
Sonora.
Correct. So I was in the US for nearly 2 years. So after these 2 years, I got back to Spain, and I started to be interested in music and events. So again, I've been always very proactive. So I wanted to do things, try new things, create things, right? So since I was very into music and events, at 17 we decided with 2 friends of mine to open online magazine related to events and music called Sonora. Maybe the website is still working. I don't know. It's been so long, but so we decided to create content and promote like new events, new talents within the music industry. We never really monetized much, but we had a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and it helped us to grow professionally and personally, right? When you're involved in a business, you learn a lot.
Like, what do you feel the lessons you learned from that experience?
Well, that you have to always, if you want to create something, you have to go for it. I had the idea, the dream of creating an online magazine about music and events, and I said, why not?
And at the time, was it a common thing, like to have online magazines?
No, not much. It wasn't that popular. It wasn't that popular, but there was a need in the market. We could see that people wanted to know more about music and events, and maybe some niche type of parties and so on. So yeah, it all started in front of my computer typing and telling my friends, hey, let's do that. Let's buy a domain, let's open it up, and let's help others as well.
When did you start your journey with solo traveling on motorbikes?
Correct. So that's another part, right? So since 14 years old, I've been pretty much abroad all my life till now. And I think that trip to California that early, alone, far away, awakened something within me, right? That will of seeking further, right? Away from home. That was the ignition for sure. That's when I got ignited and my eyes opened, and I wanted to know more about the world, right? So after opening up the business, that was in Spain when I was 17. Then I wanted to travel. I wanted to live abroad. So I lived in London, in Ireland, in Paris. I did part of my studies. And
so when you were in London, were you working or were you studying?
I was doing my master's degree. Yeah.
Okay. And then in Galway?
In Galway,
Ireland?
I did a business course. Yeah.
Okay.
And then in Paris, I finished my master's degree. Yeah.
How would you describe like London for you, your experience?
It was interesting. But before I lived there, I visited it, right? So I kind of knew a little bit about the lifestyle there. It's very active as well. You have a lot of life on the streets, and it's a very multicultural city, right?
Yeah.
You meet people from all over the world. So that again fired up a little bit my willing of knowing more about the world, because you start meeting people from so many countries, right? And you start learning from different cultures again and habits. Oh, in my country we have this river, or we have this tradition, and so on. So I started getting even more hyped about traveling and knowing more. So it was definitely a great experience. It was another part of my maturing app evolution, if you want to call it. So I was stepping up in my as I said, understanding of the world.
How old were you at this time?
I think I was around 19, 20, somewhere there.
Okay.
20s, yeah, somewhere there, yeah.
And then you wanted to do your business course in Galway?
Yes, so then I did a business course in Galway, and then I finished my master's degree in Paris.
Is it different being in Ireland, like in Galway, comparing to London?
Yeah, definitely. It was a different atmosphere, Irish people are amazing as well, and Yeah, different experience. It was very windy, very cold, but enjoyable. I understood that wherever you go, you gotta enjoy. Regardless the place, you need to make the place around you. So I was moving. I was, as we said, in California, London, Galway, Paris, and I understood. You know what? Wherever I go, I enjoy. You know, it's not about the place itself; it's how you make yourself around the place, right? Which eyes are seeing the place? Right? Which energy are you sharing with the people or the place that you're at? You know, that's what I focused on and what I learned since that time. Yeah.
And then after Paris, how long were you in Paris?
I was there for a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not understanding anything. My French was like worse than my English when I went to California. But again, another challenge, you know. I didn't look for it, but it just came to me. I said, you know what? Yes, I'll go for it. So I remember sitting in university, first row, the teacher talking to me in French, like we are right now. Me just saying we.
Wow.
And I had pretty much no idea what was going on. So yeah, I had to study hard
Where were you studying in Paris?
Business. It was a business course. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Why would you take it in French?
Another challenge. You know, it came to me. I said, yeah, there's a business course there, whatever. Paris. I said, okay, yeah, I never lived in Paris. Business, yes, that's what I do. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, so when you got into the embassy...
that was after that, yeah.
And
going back to your point, I always had a passion for motorbikes, you know, so I think you were asking me that...
when did it start, yeah.
When I started solo traveling with my motorbike, right?
Yes.
I always had my motorbikes in Spain or wherever I was, you know. I love the two wheels. I think it's a tool for me to get to know the world, to me, better, you know. I believe in a motorbike, you can go faster. You need to be careful, but you can go faster and you can go to places that a car or a plane or any other vehicle can't take you, you know. Small roads, you know, secret areas, you know, and it gives you the freedom, you know, you feel free. You feel the elements, the air, the heat or the cold in the motorbike, and that, to me, that keeps me alive and makes me seek further. Yeah.
Okay. So when was the first time you went traveling on your bike? You remember your first
motorbike,
ever trip?
Solo motorbike. I mean, really out of somewhere normal. Every time I plan a solo motorbike trip, I plan it in a way that is completely new for me. Like completely new. Must be a country, must be an environment, must be a language, must be an overall that I'm not used to it, that I don't know, that is completely unknown for me. So that started properly, I think, around 23, 24. You know, I always ride my motorbike, but when I started really saying, okay, I'm going somewhere very remote by myself with a motorbike, no internet, no Google Maps, no language, I just go there, take my motorbike, and ride my motorbike.
So back then, what, you're using a map or?
I was, the way I took it was more finding the way interacting with people, you know. I know that I knew the direction, either north, west, south or something, you know. I knew somehow where I wanted to reach, but I was enjoying the process until I was reaching to the target, you know. And the way I was enjoying the process was like leaving it open to experiences. And how I was getting around by asking people. So that interaction with people was also helping me to understand more about the country, understand more about what could happen around, more about myself, communication skills, human skills, energy skills, so on.
So where was the first country you went to?
First country, good question. Let me review my hard drive. First solo trip out of the country or out of the ordinary, very remote, could have been when I traveled from Pakistan into China.
From Pakistan into China?
Yes, that was a trip.
Do you remember why you decided you'd go to Pakistan? Like what triggered it?
Honestly, not. So every year, it's a must for me to do at least 2 lifetime experiences. One on a motorbike and one without a motorbike.
Okay.
And must be solo.
Okay.
Why I decided Pakistan? Honestly, whenever I'm planning like a lifetime experience on a motorbike, I just open the map. I look to the areas that I've never been around, I've never been at, and I just take my finger and said, okay, I feel like going there, and that's how I do it.
And you take your bike, or do you rent from there?
Depends on the country, depends on the logistics, you know. That I plan a little bit. Obviously, having a motorbike is essential, right? Because it's a part of you, right, on the trip. So I plan that a little bit, yeah.
And how was it when you got to Pakistan?
Pakistan
remember?
to China was amazing. I think it was my second time
This
in
one you
Pakistan.
took your bike or you rented?
I rented a bike.
Okay.
So I was talking online with some random company and then with another one and then trying to find what was good for me, you know, and for the duration of the trip that I wanted to do it, which is I normally do around 1 month trip, 1 or 2 months trip when I do a motorbike solo trip.
Wow.
So yeah, I found a motorbike. I found like a guy who was quite active replying to my questions. You know, I didn't know much about, you know, what to do and where to go, but I found the motorbike. I flew into Islamabad and I started the journey there.
And then where did you go? What happened?
This was quite funny. So I go there, I land in the airport, this guy picks me up, right? And he says, okay, I have your motorbike ready. I go there. I remember I like to travel light, you know, so I had very basic equipment for the motorbike and so on. And the guy was like, okay, that's all you have, your helmet and a backpack? I said, yes, that's enough. He said, you know that up in the mountains in Pakistan is like -10, right? And I was like, yes, but he was like, okay. So basically he took me to the motorbike. I was wearing this super basic equipment, my helmet, this and that, you know. And the guy told me, okay, where are you going? I need to know a little bit where you're going, just for safety reasons, right? I said, my plan is to go to China. I said, China? It's like, I don't know, 15 hours from here, and you need to go through the Karakoram Road, which is one of the most dangerous roads in the world. In Pakistan, yeah.
In which way is it dangerous?
Because there's a lot of landslides, there's a lot of rocks falling. Basically the road is like on the edge of a cliff. So can happen anything. And there's no safety barriers or things on the road.
Usually when you get to China, you leave the bike and then...
No.
Or do you cross with the same bike?
When I'm on my bike goes with me.
And I don't know, how is it like at the borders? Like, is it normal?
Well, so the trip started in Islamabad, right? And Islamabad, I went through Naran, Skardu, Gilgit. If there's any Pakistani listeners or Pakistani people or expats that visited Pakistan, they will understand these places because they're beautiful. So I started Islamabad. I went to this beautiful village called Naran. Then from there, I went to Skardu, Gilgit, if I'm not confusing. And then from Gilgit, I took the Karakoram Road. It is said the most dangerous road in the world, and there was a landslide the day I was actually on the road. They said it was the biggest landslide in like centuries, and I got stuck on Karakoram Road for 4 days.
So what is a landslide?
So basically the land moving upwards, downhill, so the land covers the roads, right, or washes away whatever is on the road.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like the snow, like the ice?
No, it's just landslide. It's basically the land moves down the hill and washes away or covers whatever is on the way.
So there would have maybe a piece of mountain broke or something erupted.
Yes, correct. Also, there is heavy rain sometimes, and the rain also, affects the landslides. Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, 4 days stuck on a road.
Okay.
Luckily, I wasn't alone. There was some other motorbikers, Pakistani motorbikers, and some families. That road is frequently used for Pakistani people to go to the north of Pakistan. It's beautiful, right? And to go to the border with China, which is beautiful, the mountains, the snow, and so on. So basically, I wasn't stuck alone. Luckily, the landslide didn't come on top of me, or anyone. But I did see one fatality, one person.
Oh.
Yeah. And
how?
Well, I saw the body, and people like...
you didn't see the accident happening?
No. I saw
He had already...
some people carrying the body and trying to take it out from the landslide area.
And how did you feel?
Well, I mean, it's not good to see a dead body, right? But it's an accident and just...
So this whole time, like, were you having any fears?
Look, if we open up the topic about fear, it's going to be very intense. I think I lost the sense of fear like around 14, 15 years old. The moment I started traveling and being by myself, I lost it. Whether it's good or bad for a person or not, I lost it. There's no fear for me.
What do you mean?
I don't feel fear. I'm telling you straight away. That's why I take all these challenges, That's why I go to these places with a motorbike. I can tell you later, I went to Congo, Uganda, South Sudan, alone as well. And I always had like a super experience.
So what is your perception of fear?
To me, it's a weakness, It
Why?
is an emotion that is manageable by anyone, It is a natural emotion, right? It can come from the ignorance of an experience, right? If you don't experience something, it's when fears arises, right? It's just an emotion that is manageable. Anyone can manage it. And yeah, you should put it on the side and just understand that could be there, but totally manageable,
I agree, because, the managing part is not easy, but I do agree that fear is not what's happening to you. It's you imagining something to go sideways. You're imagining it to go bad. You creating bad scenarios in your head. That's what fear is.
Absolutely.
It's not that I am going through whatever fear. No, I'm expecting in the future. I'm scared that this might not go the right way.
Absolutely. It's a badly managed sensation or emotion that we create as human beings,
So how do you do risk management?
I love risk. So for me, it's what's keeping me alive,
But what about the management part?
In which situation? Because on a human-to-human level,
on a bike, taking care of the bike, you're going to this dangerous paths. Like, how do you do any risk management, or you just wing it?
Well, obviously, I try to have the basic safety standards. If I'm on a motorbike, I wear a helmet, I wear boots, this and that. If I'm in a special situation that happened many times in many countries, that I'm not part of the group. I'm not part of the environment. I'm the stranger, and there's questions around me and so on. To me, one of the keys when you are on a risky situation and you need to manage it, to me is to understand, to level yourself to the same frequency as the situation, right? That's when you're going to understand how to manage it. You need to absorb it, you need to digest it, you need to feel part of it, part of the risk, and that's when you're going to be able to, from a accurate point of view, be able to manage it,
Okay, I don't know how you think about this, but usually, let's say if I'm in a dangerous situation, let's say things are going wrong while I'm driving, and when things go wrong while you're driving, it's split second.
Correct.
Right? I usually go calmer. I don't go with the same energy or the same frequency of things are going fast.
Panicking.
Panicking. That would be, I feel, the natural thing if you just let your emotions go. But usually, for my side, I go emotionless in those situations, because that's the only way I'll be able to calculate the right way.
Correct. That's a great point. I think you need to be emotionless and logicful, if we can say it.
Yeah. To calculate, right? Yeah.
And as I said, I think you need to put always, right, to be humble and to put yourself at the same level of the situation, right? Neither above, neither below, at the same level, right? And that's a key point for my risk management, as you asked me. Yeah.
I like that. Like, you use the word humble, because if you believe I'm too good for anything bad to happen to me because I'm good at riding, or I'm good at driving, or I'm good at whatever, then you're putting yourself more at risk. But if you be like, hey, let's be humble and take all the precautions.
Correct. I'm just another human being in the same situation as you could be. part of this world, and we all the same.
Okay, so anything interesting happened on the way?
On the way, so
like
many
you met
things happened.
people, like
So many people I met. It was fantastic. North of Pakistan is beautiful. The mountains, the roads. So apart from being stuck on this road for 4 days, which funny enough, we ran out of water, and there was a river besides. There was I don't remember the river on the Karakoram Road. It's by the Silk Road. Actually, you're going through the old Silk Road that goes from Pakistan to China or vice versa. So we ran out of water. I remember the locals getting bottles from the river. The water was gray. The color was actually silver because there's a lot of mining around that area. So there's a lot of sulfur and minerals in the water, so it's not drinkable. But we ran out of water, so we had to drink water. So what they were doing, they were like getting water from the river and using like the t-shirts or textiles
to filter.
as filter, and we were drinking a little bit from the bottle with the filter to keep ourselves hydrated.
Did it have any reaction on you?
Honestly, I'm quite strong, since I traveled to so many countries, I eat food and drink water from everywhere. I think my body is already like, I can't take anything, luckily, I touch wood. I'm quite strong in that sense, yeah. Yeah, I was fine. Yeah, I had so much fun. Actually, it was, apart from the damage that caused the landslide, for me was a blessing because I got to meet people in a very specific, special situation, right? And I put myself in an environment and again situation that was out of the ordinary.
How did they accept what was happening?
Well, we were all stuck on the road, right? Yeah. So some people have chips, some people have water. They were like helping each other. Some people were scared. We could see cars that were like taken over by the land, like they were like like they had rocks on top of the car, so it was a serious situation. So people was pretty friendly, everyone was helping each other, and honestly, me, I was enjoying the situation.
And then you got to China,
and then we managed to the military came. I remember taking pictures because the militaries that came with cranes and so on, but there were also the how do you call this? Not criminal, like special forces.
Okay.
They were wearing boots and these equipments and so on. So quite impressive, right? So they managed to clean the road, and then I managed to continue towards China, which was just such a beautiful experience. Yeah.
And what was it like when you got to China?
Beautiful. It was COVID times. So when I reached to the border, they told me, look, it's COVID, the border is closed. And I was like, what? I came all the way here, I cannot go through. And they told me no. And even if you wanted to go through out of the COVID times, normally no one goes through this border because it's like quite remote and, and this and that. So it's not like a rideable kind of a border, But I didn't care. It was so nice to just reach there,
So now you had to ride all the way back to Islamabad.
Rode all the way back, enjoying the way back. I took a different route. A lot of things happened. I crashed, I think, 2 times.
But crashed? What would you like? What happened?
Yeah, but the roads in Karakoram Road are like there's holes, there's rocks, there is an animal crossing, there is a truck driver sleepy that goes on the other side of the road. You cannot imagine, like so many stories. Yeah, but throughout most of the way, all the trip, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters. You're one of my favorites, by the way, in the Middle East.
Good answer,
okay.
Good answer.
but I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters in India and worldwide, which is Sadhguru.
Okay, yeah.
I guess you're aware of it.
Yes, yes.
Him. So I was listening most of the time, I think pretty much, all the time. I wasn't listening to music. I was also learning and getting an experience from the podcast and the content that I was observing from Sadhguru, who is also a solo motorcycle rider as well.
Yes, he is.
So it was inspiring me a lot, and I was learning a lot throughout the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And after that, you came back back to what? To Dubai? Back to
Dubai, which is my base, as you know, for the past 16 years, right? I've been in Dubai for quite a long time. Being in Dubai, part of me, and also part of me in where my beautiful Distash is from, in Oman, as you know. So I got back to Dubai and started running my businesses, as you know. I have 2 small businesses that are running quite well, that are my passion as well. And I kept on living the Middle East life and traveling as well, of course.
You remember when you first went to Oman?
First time in Oman, that's a good question. I have so many memories in Oman as well. Probably around 2008,
Okay.
my first year in Dubai.
Straight away you went to...
Yes, first year, I think I went straight to Oman.
Okay, I'll just take things back to how you got to Dubai,
Yeah,
right? So you were working with the embassy?
correct. There's a program in the Spanish government that actually prepare young qualified students to help people and companies overseas. So I remember I was in London finishing my master's, and my father said, look, there is a program in the government, blah, blah, blah. I said, Dad, I'm not a good student. I'm doing my master's, but I'm just passing my master's, I know, in university, I was just passing, I've never been a good student. I've been always very active and moving here and there. So it's hard for me to keep myself in one place and just to do one thing, right? Anyway, so my father told me about the program. I said, okay, Dad, I don't know. I will try. You need to do some exams and pass some tests, and it's not an easy thing, right? A lot of people is applying. I remember at the time I applied, there was like more than 5,000 applicants, right? Anyway, I applied. I got in. I was like, wow, okay.
Out of how many people?
I think at that time was around 5,000 applicants. And to apply, I think you needed to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree.
Like how many people got accepted?
35.
Wow.
Back in the days. I think now the program, there's more like 20,000 applicants, qualified applicants. But back in the days, 2008, when I did it, 2007, sorry, around 5,000, yeah.
And then they only take 35 people.
35. And out of those 35, so 35 people are selected, right? And then you do a master's degree, and only the 30 or 25 better grades, I'm not sure about the number, but better grades, only get the opportunity to work overseas for the government. And the others, they have the master's, the experience, but they don't go overseas and work. Yeah.
Mashallah.
So I got the lowest, but one of the selected ones, but on the bottom, the lowest, I got it. I got in. Yeah, again.
But whatever skills that you have, the others don't. Which a lot of those skills are not in the books.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I guess I wouldn't got selected, right?
Yeah. I'm sure there's
life experiences, mindset is there. Everyone has it. You just need to work.
Okay, so you move. And then how did you move to Dubai?
So funny story. So I got the lowest grade, right, in my program, and all the good grades wanted to go to US, to London, all these places that I already went. I already experienced.
Right.
So I wasn't interested in anything standard.
You're not even competing with them.
No, actually no.
Yeah.
Actually, Washington, this is okay, good for you. Like, I'm not interested. I'm like, this guy is weird, And they said, look, we have a new, it was maybe the second year, I remember well, we have a new destiny, the new place, Dubai. And everyone was, at that time, 2007,
yeah, it
wasn't that popular.
Yeah, not like now, no. Not
Right.
even 50%.
First of all, people said, okay, Middle East, back in 2007. Wow, Middle East? I was like, yes, Middle East. I was like, no. And I was like, yes. Right? So I said, yes, Middle East. Sounds good. Never been. And they said, Dubai. I said, I have no idea what Dubai is. I went on to Google. I remember back in those years, you couldn't find much information about Dubai or Oman or the GCC countries, right? There was very little information, and probably miswritten information as well, or not well communicated information. So Middle East, Dubai. I put on, I remember on Google Dubai, and I see this picture of Dubai back in the days, right? Sheikh Zayed Road, and then Sheikh Zayed Road with some buildings, with the Toyota building and some others, not like now that you have Burj Khalifa and all this, right? I said, wow, interesting. Desert, buildings.
The skyline was way smaller.
Yeah, only in 10 years. And I think I didn't even think more than that, even didn't research more about that. I said, yes, I'll take it. Sounds challenging, sounds promising, And everyone was telling me, you don't want to go to Washington? You don't want to go to London? You want to go to Middle East, Dubai? I said, yes. Funny enough, 5 years or 6 years after, the people who went to New York, to Washington, Jacob, can you find me a job in Dubai? Jacob, I love Dubai. Take me there. I was like, okay. I was right.
Okay. So then you moved to Dubai and...
To Dubai, yes. And from Dubai, I started coming to Oman.
Okay. And When you went to Oman, you went alone or you went with friends?
I've been to Oman so many times by myself, alone.
So tell me interesting trips to Oman.
Oh my God, this is wow, never endless stories in Oman. So first of all, I consider Oman like, from my point of view, my experiences, the most welcoming and friendly country in the Middle East, in the entire Middle East. I traveled everywhere, not everywhere, but I mean Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Lebanon, so many countries in the Middle East, right? Oman is special. The people is special. The land is special. I call it the jewel, undiscovered jewel in the Middle East. You know, first thing that you notice in Oman is the people. Right at the border, in Oman, the Omani people working at the border are so cool. You know, they're so nice. You go there and you know, they're so welcoming, so open.
We're like welcoming, you know, people from abroad. We get happy. You know?
Yeah.
Some countries you go, it's the other way around. They don't like tourists, or they don't like. But we genuinely enjoy, and we're curious, you know, to hear their experiences and learn from them.
Omanis are so human beings, very human beings. That's how I see them myself. You know, you guys like to keep your roots, but in a very open-minded manner, right? And that's beautiful, because as tourists or expats, we get to experience the traditions and the roots by you guys. You know, you're open to share, you're open to show and to experience and to let the others understand, you know, in details. It's magical. Yeah.
Where for you feel is the best spot
in Oman?
Yeah.
Oman is a big country.
Yeah.
And so many people don't know about this, that Oman is very big. Oman is big and beautiful, and there are so many places. You know, I've driven so many times from Dubai or Abu Dhabi into Oman, through Fujairah, through Hatta, to Sohar, to Muscat, to Sur, and then from Sur all along the coast. If the viewers don't know much about Oman, Oman has a beautiful coast, not only from Sur all the way down to Dokum or Yemen, right? Also up in the north, also nearby Fujairah as well. It's beautiful. You have Dibba and some other areas, right? Anyway, my favorite part is from Sur all the way down to Dokum. You have all these wadis like Tiwi and all these canyons that are unknown by so many people, by the world, you know. They're so beautiful. I mean, you can compare them to canyons in Canada and other like countries with big canyons, you know, or the US. So all these canyons in Tiwi, southern part of Sur, and all the coast through Asila, Alaskara. You have Masira Island, another jewel, beautiful island. It's like going to, you know what reminds me? There is some islands in Spain. You have the Canary Islands that are known to be like Lanzarote, known to be like similar to Mars, you know, with kind of reddish mountains and landscape with this special color. Masira is quite similar, you know, to Lanzarote and these volcanic islands in southern Spain, near Africa. You know? So many places, I don't know, so many experiences with Omanis. I remember one day it started pouring water. I don't remember where it was. I didn't know where to go, and I found this Omani guy on the street, and he was like, "Hey, where are you going?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "You want to come to my house?" I was like, "Okay." And he takes me to his house. He lived in a container, you know, in like this container, logistic container.
Okay.
But modified, like a nice interior, you know. And he take me. So I go into this container. I see a container outside. He was like, "Yeah, come to my house." Container, middle of Oman, you know. I think it was Nizwa. Yeah. So I go into his container, and I ended up sleeping there. He gave me his bed. He slept on the floor. We had some Omani honey, I remember. And yeah, just one of the hundreds of experiences that I have in Oman.
So was he living in that container, or was it just traveling with the container?
Honestly, at that time, I think it was around 2010, my Arabic wasn't that good, you know. So the communication was a little bit broken, but at the same time I was fluent. He knew what I needed. Okay. He knew that I needed a shelter, sleep maybe, and to have some food, So I'm not sure he was living there, but definitely was one of his houses or his house. I don't know.
Okay. And where else did you go traveling with your solo, with your bike?
Solo, motorbike, Oman I've done it as well, but other countries, I did one trip which was fantastic. Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, beautiful countries. Unknown for me at that time, Kyrgyzstan, highly recommended. Tajikistan, the nature, the mountains, the people. And Uzbekistan, the history. We have some Central Asian countries near the Middle East, influenced by the Middle East, Islamic countries that have so much Islamic history that are beautiful. Bukhara in Uzbekistan, beautiful mosques and Middle Eastern influences, Another trip was Uganda, Congo, also quite interesting. Getting into Congo was an experience. Before Congo, I went to South Sudan. So I started in Uganda, south of Uganda, in Entebbe. And then I went up through Kidepo National Park into South Sudan. So I got to see the South Sudani tribes, which worship the cows. And actually have showers with the cow pee as a tradition. In super interesting, super real. And then through there, I went into Congo and had an accident I remember in a city in Uganda called Gulu. I had to stay there for more than a week. I fell from my motorcycle and I hurt my arm. Then I got some kind of, I think it's called sarna, this itchy and redness in my head.
That came from what?
I have no idea. From somewhere in the jungle,
One of the many wrong things.
Yeah.
One of them.
But again, I take all this as.
So what, you were crossing through a jungle or what?
Yes, I crossed through many jungles and tribe areas that.
So probably got stung by.
Maybe
something?
I got stung by something. I got. I'm not a vaccine person, but I had to get the yellow fever vaccine to enter these countries.
Yeah.
That was a must, so I had to take it. But I didn't get the malaria or other vaccines. As I said, I believe more in the natural resources rather than the chemical resources for our well-being. In any case, I got this thing on my head, and then I crashed. But then that allowed me to experience new things, to go through things that I didn't go before, to keep on knowing that fear is just something away out of myself, away from me. So it was interesting as well.
You mentioned to me you did the Vipassana.
Vipassana, yes.
Vipassana full course, which is meditation, right?
Correct.
So tell me about it. Why did you decide to do it, and walk me through your thoughts during that program? Yeah,
again, that was another life experience that I do on a yearly basis, right? Every year I do at least 2 or 3, even though I try to do it every day, to have a life experience every day, which I think is a great thing to believe, that every day is a lifetime experience, right? I'm experiencing this with you right now, right? It's a life experience for me. I'm learning a lot from this experience from you, and I'm observing. I'm just being myself the fullest. So going back to the point of Vipassana, again, it was around 5-6 years ago. I opened the map and I said, okay, what do I want to do? I already did a moto solo trip this year, which I think at that time was Pakistan. I said, I want to do something different. I want to learn more about myself. I started meditating around 10 years back, or even a bit more. Every day I meditate. I look at myself more from an inwards perspective, right? So I said, okay, I heard about these meditation courses, not yoga, because I do yoga on a regular basis, something else, something a bit more into meditation, right? And then I started researching, and I understood how Buddha was enlightened through different meditation techniques. And one of the techniques was actually Vipassana, right? And I said, okay, sounds interesting, sounds challenging. I've never done it. It's out of my comfort zone. I'll go for it. And I said, okay, where is this originally from, right? And when I do something, I like to go to the source, right? To the origins, whatever I do, right? I want to learn about the Middle East or Oman. I go to the deepest of the Oman, and I talk to the locals and so on. So same thing for Vipassana, right? I said, okay, where it started. India and Myanmar. Okay, great. These two countries where everything started, no? The whole movement of Vipassana. All right, I'm gonna look for a place to do the course. I wanna find the most authentic and real and maybe oldest center, Vipassana center, right? So then I found one in Pune, southern India. And actually I'd never been at that point to Pune. I went to Bombay, to Delhi, to Agra, to many places in India with my motorbike as well. Beautiful India. And I said, okay, I'll go to Pune, new place. So I go there. I remember arriving into the airport, taking a tuk-tuk from the airport to the Vipassana center, which was like maybe 2 hours tuk-tuk ride. And I go to the Vipassana center. Myself alone, not knowing exactly what I was going to do. I knew it was a 10-day silent meditation experience course. So I go to this pagoda, super authentic, like in the middle of India, in the middle of the jungle with, I would say 99% locals. There was only one Korean guy who was actually translating the Vipassana methodology from Sanskrit into Korean.
Interesting.
Being the first person in the world to actually do that. So he was learning Sanskrit and experiencing Vipassana to translate the methodology into Korean for the first time. One Korean guy and one Korean from Serbia, I think. So 10 days, silent, no eye contact, no interaction with human beings, only the pagoda. You have your space, right? You have the guru in front of you. That's the only interaction. The rest is like around 12 hours a day, solo meditation.
And how was the first 24 hours?
Like anything you do new, right? It's hard.
Yeah, at the beginning.
You're fighting against yourself.
Yes.
You're fighting against what you're doing. It's new for you. You don't know how to deal with it, right? But again, that's the beauty for me, right? Again, out of the comfort zone, something completely new and something really, really deep. You're something that you really
I'm sure some bulbs went up.
Absolutely. 12 hours sitting on a flower lotus position for a day during 10 days without talking to anyone, with having very limited food, waking up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, going through that for 10 days non-stop. It's, the lights, some bulbs went on for sure. Yeah.
And what were your findings?
Well, you learn how important it is to be resilient. You're going through something you don't like, but it's beneficial. You need to accept that you need to go through it. You have to go through it. Maybe sometimes there's no other choice, right? And you learn how important it is to believe in yourself, to accept what's happening and let it be. When you go through 12 hours of meditation a day, you get a lot of physical pain, a lot of mental pain, right? I used to be very proactive when I was a kid. I couldn't stop moving, and I had to learn to be quiet, to slow down, not only my body, my mind, right? And that's when certain angles of your mindset start arising within you. Like, I didn't know this about myself. I know there's pain, but I'm managing it. I know it's there, but it's not affecting me. So many things go through your mind when you do the course. Absolutely.
Well, that's very powerful. I remember my first, either first 24 hours or 48 hours when I was in quarantine, and I'm just stuck in the room. And I remember by the next day, probably in the morning, the thought just came to me like, Hisham, because I was having a lot of negative thoughts. And then I realized, I'm like, Hisham, there's no one else in the room. It's only you.
Correct.
So I realized I wasn't as positive as I thought I was. So that was my realization. And as soon as you get to know you have a particular weakness or an area that you'd like to be better at, I believe is the beginning of the progress.
Absolutely. I think it's beautiful to spot those weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
To spot them and to work on them, to work on them from a proper angle, from the angle of being within, from the angle of understanding that everything is manageable. You can You can handle anything you want. You have the power. You need to believe in that.
And from your perspective, what is the high performance mindset?
Wow. High performance mindset. I love the topic of your podcast. It's just, wow.
Why?
Because it's a topic that must be spoken, you know. So beneficial for people to understand that mindset is everything in life, right? Comes from there. It's the source of any origins in your life, right? And high performance is the level you want to be at, right? It's a must. How to describe it? I think you can reach there, in my opinion, through experiences. You need to experience. You need to go through your fears. You need to eliminate or manage all these weaknesses and fears to reach there. You know, I think that's the key. How you do that, in my opinion, through experiences. You need to expose yourself to those experiences. You need to go through them. It's nice to read a book. It's nice to listen to a podcast. Yes, nice. But experiencing, as if I'm not mistaken, Julius Caesar says, experience is the teacher of all things. This comes from back in the past, the Romans we're already talking about this, no? So that's for me, high performance mindset.
Jacob, thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. I think we're going to need to have another one.
Shukran.